Joey, Dave, and Mackie.
And Mackie. Hey, 78 400, and he said commenting. Oh, what? What? Okay. Mm. For me, it's the rock people, and depending on if I'm at my mother's house, which can happen, it could be the Camera Gal people, who also host the land on which SBS broadcasts from. Well, hey, Howie, I know, right? What? I know places. I'm up with the places. All the places. all day long. Yes, yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Nope, that's true. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, look, yeah. I mean, but you have to understand the focus of the people at the time. I mean, our focus today has shifted somewhat. And in fact, we're going to have a bit of a level set at the second hour of the show after we've gone through the news. And essentially, we're going to see where we are. And like a mini, what does it all mean? What does it all mean? A mini one. Mm, 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 mm. Yep, yep. in fact, in fact, they want. Yeah, but the thing is this: if you're vaccinated, but who's going to police this? So they had this interview with a whole bunch of small, small shop owners in the states, and they said, how do I know who's vaccinated? I mean, you're not wearing a mask. Come to my shop. I assume you're not vaccinated. Oh yeah, I don't know what's happening. What? So, oh, it's just beautiful. Yeah, there's that as well, right? I need to see your papers. No, I can do it. It's all good. I've been there. I lived there. Yeah, yeah. We don't like his talk things. His talk things are making us headachy. Look, this is what bothers me as well, and we had a similar situation here, as you well know, Dave, in Australia, where people are saying, "Oh, we should all get vaccinated, so we get herd immunity." No, you moron! That's never going to happen. We're never going to have herd immunity. It just won't happen. Um, unless our immune system, our bodies, develop capacities, an ability to fight this, then okay, yeah, fair enough. All right, that's different, right? It's a natural kind of thing. But the vaccine, uh, unlike other vaccines for other diseases, will not defer herd immunity, and that's because, okay, let me put it this way: you get a chickenpox vaccine. All right, there it is. You got it, and we all have had it, I'm sure. Even polio, right? And your body recognizes the virus, that would cause you disease, and it builds antibodies for it, right? So the immune system can respond to it, so you don't get sick. You don't get chickenpox. You don't get polio. You're not going to get a mild form of polio or a mild form of chickenpox. You just don't get it. And if a lot of us don't get it, then chances are the virus can no longer run around. That's called herd immunity. Usually at 80% of the population, right? That's when it's reached. This thing, and the vaccines that have been developed, they don't do that. The vaccines that have been developed thus far, they will essentially allow your body to, yes, build a stronger immune response to the virus without causing a cytokine storm, right? Correct. And chances are that you will not die. So which is good. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, right? Now there are side effects to the vaccine. Whether or not you take it, that's up to you. You make your own judgment. It's your own risk assessment. I can't tell you what to do. I know what I'm going to do. But ultimately, the vaccine will not make you immune to the disease. You can still get infected, and you can still infect others. Okay, so that's the fundamental difference. And a lot of people, because Dave, we've been living in a world where vaccines are commonplaces. But we've had vaccines now for decades, right? Almost 100 years in certain cases, and so we've become somewhat complacent, and we no longer understand how they actually work, and that's how they work. And back in the olden days, a lot of people died from chickenpox. A lot of people died from were crippled by polio. Smallpox. Actually, sorry, I should have said smallpox. Smallpox was the big killer. Measles was a big killer. Now that's no longer happening because we have vaccines. Now, are they inherently safe? No, they're not. But taking them far outweighs the risk of getting the disease. That's a fact. That's a fact. You look at the stats yourself. Look, have a look. With this thing, yes, it will stop you from getting really, really sick, it seems. And it will also stop you from dying, most likely, these are all good things. There are side effects. Are they worthwhile your risk? Up to you. But it's really this lack of understanding, Dave. And I'll be honest with you, it bothers me. It bothers me a lot, you know? Yeah. 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 Mm, mm, yeah. Yeah. Yes. 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 Yeah. Mm, yeah. That's the. I still think it's 2024, to be honest. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, 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 yeah. No. And that's sorry, that's something very important what you just said here, right? And this is really this goes to the heart of I think one of the key things that they them try to achieve with this is to push us into the next iteration of our existence, make us I don't know, accept a new way of life, which we are now. We are now completely in the thrall of this fear, and in real numbers. I mean, okay, I know the numbers look big, Dave, right? I know they look big, but we have to keep one thing here very much in mind, and that's that so far, yes, 100 and well, how many? So let me just check the numbers. How many people have this thing now? Okay, so that's the totality of people that have contracted this overall in the world. Now there's 7.5 billion people thereabouts on the planet. So that's a lot of people. Now, and the numbers are wrong, so they're probably wrong by a factor of 6. Let's call it between 4 and 8. Let's call it 6. It means probably about 1 billion people have it. All right, that's still only 1/7 of the world population, and on top of that, yes, the death looks terrible as well. But in the scheme of things, yeah, but only about 3%, between 2 and 3% of people that contract this thing actually die from it. Okay, so you have to all, yeah. So let me just say something here, and I'm not saying that we need to do this. If we were to put death by motor car accident, or death by heart attack, or death from cancer in a similar table, so I go to Worldometer here, right? I go to Worldometer. They've got a whole bunch of different tables, but I go. That's why I go, and it's all in this table. And because it's in a table and very neat, and it's color coded, it's an immediate data communication. You can immediately understand what's going on, and it's a horrific picture. If we did the same thing with cancer, Dave, we would be terrified. Oh my God, cancer is going to kill the human race. Well, it will eventually, but the point here is that we don't. We don't have that insight, or we choose not to have it. This thing, though, morbidly draws us to the numbers, right? And to be clear, the world lived through this about 100 years ago with the Spanish flu.
Yeah, it did.
Right? And the death toll, at least for now, was much higher than we have experienced at this point. Not the percentage, because we don't know how many people actually got sick. Nobody kept the stats. We have no idea how many people contracted the Spanish flu. We just don't know. It's a misnomer, by the way. It started up in Scandinavia.
Correct.
Which is interesting.
And it was because they didn't want the allied countries that were competing at the moment in the war, or from it, they didn't want them to be tainted by it.
There's always politics like this today, Dave, right?
Yeah, politics.
Yeah. So but just to be clear here, right? We are in a numbers game. We are being fear that this fear is being stoked. And sure, we need to look after ourselves. Sure, we should live healthy lives. Sure, we should wear a mask in a public transport system. Let's be very clear here, though. I travel a lot. When I travel to Southeast Asia and China, I've only really been a couple of times, but Southeast Asia I've been a lot. A lot of people wear masks. They used to wear masks well before any of this. They wore masks decades ago when I was there in the public transport system. Why? Because it's a smart thing for them to do, because this airborne pathogens, right, that they're exposed to every day, right? Malaria is a thing, right? TBC is a thing. These are airborne. These are diseases that are transmitted either by mosquitoes or they're airborne. Transmitted via airborne methods. So it is only now that in the West, America, Australia, Europe, we now have to wear masks. 100 years ago, there's some really great pictures, Dave. Black and whites of what Sydney looked like during the flu pandemic. Everybody wore masks. Well, that's a shock, right? They have these pictures of people sitting in stadiums, watching cricket, whatever, or on public transport, the trams back then. They all wore masks, right? That's just what they did. It's a smart thing to do. If you are going to a leper colony, you're not going to touch anyone. If you're going to see TB or the people that have tuberculosis, you're going to wear a mask, a face mask. It's just common sense. But it's now immediate. It's hitting people that haven't had a crisis, Dave, for decades. In the West, we haven't really had a crisis like this.
That's right. Remember, they had the swine flu and a bunch of others. They had the original SARS as well. While the numbers weren't big, the deaths were bad.
Yes.
Yeah, as percentages. So, look, consider the 50 million from the Spanish flu. In comparison, this is a walk in the park.
Yeah.
But Mackie, one thing I have to tell you, I've been doing some thinking about just how ready we were for this virus this time around, and I think some of our successes from this have come from our technology.
Oh, completely.
Right. So, if we didn't have QR codes, can you imagine the inconvenience of having to do tracking? You have to write your number down and your contact details, your name and address and everything at every place you visit. Mm-hmm. Just think of it. Just think about it doing it manually. No QR code, no blip, blip. There you go, done. It took 20 seconds in total. But rather than, the 2.5 minutes of having to write it out, plus you're using a shared pen where you can actually transmit the virus between people.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying, right? We didn't have hand sanitizer all those years ago. If it happened 30 years ago, it would have decimated the planet because it wouldn't have had what we knew now and all of the technology we've had to be able to make it easier for ourselves. I think that we're so mature. If we didn't have the internet, Mackie.
But it's a double-edged sword, you see. I
yes.
Don't agree at all with what you're saying. So the truth is, you're right. We are much better prepared from a technological point of view. Having said that, of course, we survived the 1918-1919 Spanish flu pandemic. Mm-hmm. But it is also this technology which has allowed this virus to spread as quickly as it did.
Oh, yeah, because it would have been cruise ships or cruise liners, right, to get the virus around between countries.
Completely would have taken forever, 3 days to get anywhere, really, to be honest with you, right? So
not within a 24-hour cycle anywhere on the planet. That's right.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Once you shut the border down, you really shut it down. You wouldn't even leave the country of origin. You would never leave it, right? So it is definitely a double-edged sword. Now, having said that, you're right. Contact tracing, QR codes. People's movements especially have become a lot easier, and this is again quite Orwellian really in many ways, but it's become a lot easier to track people.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we are in the Big Brother world now.
Oh, completely.
And I remember, Mackie, when the movie and the book was read in high school, I remember people talking about Big Brother as watching you, and I laughed. How I laughed. But
oh, how we laughed.
How we laughed.
What a time was had.
Yes. Yeah, how preposterous that concept was. Yeah, now everyone is being watched and listened to, worse still, against your will. An application that you install on your phone, for instance, say TikTok, even though you don't create an account or do anything on it, you can actually... It has all your contacts, all your calls that you've made, every website you've visited, and it's a telemetry machine is what it is. But don't think that's the only one, because the big players, I don't want to even name them, I don't even care, about naming them. I don't want to advertise them, but we all use FB, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
And it has all of the same access. We accept it. Remember, we're accepting the people's tech from the same side or the same team as acceptable. But if you consider there being a dual team system on the planet, and the other team is wanting access to the same... Imagine this during the Cold War and it was the Russians, right? Just imagine that. Can't have that app. It's Russian. They're collecting all your data. Well,
What does that mean? Oh,
I don't know. What is data? I don't have a mobile phone. It's a Cold War. Dave, you're an idiot, right? But if it were, and we did, and this was, then we would have a real hard time with the opposition getting our data. How do we feel when it's our own team? We don't even care. No one cares.
No.
You go, I don't want Google Home Mini in my house because it can listen to you. I said, do you have a mobile phone? They go, yeah, it's already doing it.
you might as well go the whole hog, buddy boy, because it's happened. It's not something that you can prevent. It's happened. Done. We're not done.
Yep.
And you have to live in the new world. Oh, what do you mean?
Because it happened while you're asleep, and now you're woke. See what I did? Now you're woke. You're in the middle of it. Good luck. Good luck with that. Just accept it. Did you know I did have a fun conversation with Google about what is going to be the future of humans, and that, like those two AI robots that were talking to each other, the ones on stage that said it was the end of all. We're going to band together. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. We're going to kill all humans. There's no place for humans in our world. Well, I had that great conversation with my Google Home Mini, and it eventually turned into an offer to help me sleep. Just tell me when you want some help
Dave.
going to sleep, Dave.
Just sleep, Dave.
You can't do that, Dave. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. I can't do that, Dave. Well, that's what it turned into. It turned into a conversation where Google was offering to help me sleep. And I just realized that was probably over the line. That was past where I was willing to take this relationship.
It's not that I don't like you. It's me, not you.
It's me, which really means it's you. Yeah, it's all you. It's not me. Yeah.
Oh, you. That's it.
Yeah.
What?
So I look at it, we've digressed, I suppose. The technology we have today is actually making this a lot easier on us. What the big people have decided, when I say big, I mean not in stature, I mean just in wealth, parasitic level, so we don't need to repeat it again. They've decided a whole new world for us to live in, and the surprise that people are kind of resisting them is, well, not unexpected, but the governments are in, and so if the governments are in, they're going to drag us kicking and screaming into this place anyway. Even if you want to go off grid, go and have some fun. Go on for a while. Live like the Amish. Go on. Just listen to us on air. Continue to listen to us, and fight with each other when you call up our show and say who's more off grid than the other person, because that happened. That actually happened. That's fine. Do all that, but at some point, if you're not living entirely separate from the rest of the world with zero connection in a bubble, for instance. Then at some point you're going to have to walk into town and discover what's really going on. You're going to walk back into existence, right? And if we've all got tattoos on our wrist, at the moment we walk around with a MAC address in our pocket, which is unique. Do you know what I'm saying, Becky?
Yeah, I hear you, mate.
Yeah. So you can't fight where we're at. We've already accepted it. In fact, we begged them. People queue up around the block for days leading up to a brand new, MAC address release, right? Of telephony, like phones. You want a new phone in your pocket, you'll beg them to release a new phone.
Yeah.
It's the same with the vaccine, Mickey. They'll place us in a position where we beg for one.
Correct.
And it's the disincentive scheme which will promote it more than the incentive scheme.
Correct.
That means they've already got us. I don't care what you say. I remember, Mecky, we've had conversations. I know you and I have. We've had conversations. But when Mecky and I talk to others about what this new world will look like, everyone's in dreamland, hypnotized by the media and the government, thinking we're all just going to go back to normal. Sure.
Not today.
So Mecky, it looks like, I'm just going to say from the virus point of view here, there are 175 million doses from a vaccine given out to India. Their capacity to test people is sign waving at the moment around about the 4,000 or 400,000 mark. Between that and 390, they're really incapable of testing any more people, or have either run out of tests. Some people that we know are first contact people. They're seeing some people recover now. It's a long journey to come into recovery in India. Their medical system has completely blown out. I mean, it's incapable of dealing with this amount of infection.
That ship has sailed. I mean, right now it's really just a prayer, man. It is. Yeah. I don't know, man. It looks bad.
The
thing is,
there isn't internationally. There's nothing we can do. We're setting
in other areas as well.
Yeah. Well, people have sent some oxygen, but that would be used up, in the first 10 minutes. And at the relief packages and things, there isn't enough that could be done to save India. All they have to do is lock themselves down in some way and minimize contact and deal with the dead efficiently, and those that are sick just triage who you can save, right? Blue lips, let's next, right? Who else is there?
It's horrific, but yeah.
Well, look, Mickey and I have been talking about this for years. The world has known about there being pandemics. It's a thing. It's going to happen. I think we've kind of failed miserably on the controls.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we have.
Because if the deaths were being caused by gunmen walking down the street, easy target, easy thing to control, kind of where we're at, but it isn't. It's an invisible thing that you can't see, and it can be over for you. If you have any underlying problems, I'm gonna rest it there anyway.
No, but look, you're right. The thing is this: that we never had a chance, and I'm saying this advisedly because this has been planned for a long time, right?
Completely.
We have had this coming our way for a long time, and this has been put into. That's why we had this whole show cycle. We had this show cycle so people would understand just the last 20 years how much planning has gone into this, and all we see is the effects, or some of the effects, such as the death of the microbiologist, etc. Right? We don't see anything else. We don't see the deeper planning goes on. How many people benefit from all of this, and they do. People benefit from this immensely, right? And again, this is a disease, this particular one, that will kill the poor people first if they were to die. It will affect it because they can't isolate. They can't not go to work. They can't sit in the jacuzzi like Schwarzenegger and just stay home, you fools. Just stay home in your jacuzzi and smoke your cigars. What are you doing?
I saw that, yeah.
I saw that. Oh, man, really? Come on, seriously.
Is there not a way to show that I'm disconnected from society? No, just sitting there with you got your cigar lit. Come on, quick. Okay, and we're rolling.
Action! My cigar costs more than your education.
I do love Arnie actually a lot. Yeah, it could have been played out a little better. Yeah, so that's right. And look, Mickey, I honestly, I don't think there's a week that goes by where I'm not explaining to someone that if the entire world's economies collapsed and there was no electricity, that those parasites would then become one of us. That as long as the demise or the depopulation occurs slowly enough, that the electricity will still stay on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the biggest point. People go, really? And you go, yeah, it's a thing.
The interesting thing is this. Now this will draw a bit of a longer bow here, but
all right.
If you look at the UFO phenomenon with us for thousands of years, people have always been citing the same kind of machines, or the same kind of phenomenon, if you will.
Yeah, that's true.
What we know of the parasites, we know it's a static civilization. So I believe the parasites are very, very much into the deep space programs. They're probably space travelers, interdimensional time travel. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anything new has come out of them. I think they are static, and it's a funny thing. If civilization ended tomorrow, let's say, Dave, let's say just something happened, and if only a few people survive and a few technological artifacts, even if you plan for it, etc., then it would still hit you unawares, and only a few people, as I said, would survive, and probably the wrong people. So what I mean by that is, okay, so let's say we've got these fantastic scientists today. They're working on quantum this and engineering and nano that.
Oh, they're sciencing.
But yeah, the science thing, and most people can operate a computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can operate a computer now. But if you take all the people away that built the computer, designed the computer, understand how it actually works, then you still have a whole bunch of people that can operate the computer, and maybe you built the computer so well that it won't break. That's awesome, right? But you can't build another one. You can't actually improve upon it, especially, for argument's sake, if you are an immortal or extremely long-lived. So because you are who you are. I mean, maybe you can improve yourself, but why? It's all working. Why would I improve it? It's done. I have the same feeling with this machinery that we're seeing. These UFOs and other things, UFOs. I think they were engineered a long time ago. They were built a long time ago.
By the ancient ones, yeah.
Yeah, by the ancient ones, right? And then something happened, right? Tombstone event, catastrophes. Even the internal civilization of the world was affected, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And, look, we got these shiny machines. We can use them. We don't know how they work. We can't really repair them. Right, and that's why we're seeing these days a lot more UFO
like a civilization-wide District 9.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can use it, and good on us, but we have no idea what how they operate. None of that, right? And that's why I think, and again, this is crazy talk, and we're sort of now going into the second hour here in some ways, but I believe that those parasites have struck deals. Especially with the Germans, because the Germans were technologically massively advanced, and I think that they found some of those things, and they were smart enough to back engineer it as well. I think.
Could you imagine, Meki, just for a second?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if the technology was actually totally simple?
It could be. Absolutely, sure.
It's just like the combination of. That you would never discover if you didn't have the two things right in front of you and you played with them. So imagine baking soda and lemon juice.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't want to mention other things that are exothermic. But if you didn't play with them and they weren't simple, and even though you had them, you never put the two together.
Well, see, you made this is an excellent point.
And that's why it's Tesla from all of those years ago, where it just got sucked up and vacuumed up and you're never going to see the light of day.
Bingo. And now think about the Coral Castle.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea how the guy did it. I mean, people say we did. No, we don't know. Okay, I don't care what books were written. I've seen them. I've read them. No, we don't know how he did it. We really don't. And it must be really simple. Or whatever it is, it's being done by one dude. He built the Coral Castle. He moved those ton blocks, of stone, etc., etc. He did it. And you're right. Tesla is so far ahead of us. Not even funny.
Yeah.
And his science, he was an experimentalist. He said the problem with science today, in his day, not today, but I mean, of course today as well, but in his day was that scientists had moved away from doing things to writing things down as mathematical formulas.
That's right.
Building all these, castles in the sky, which have no, I guess, resemblance to reality. And he firmly believed you can't just experiment. Sorry, you can't just have theories. You must actually do experiments. And his experiment, he built these things, right? And it's all been proven out. And some of the theoretical physicists, etc., of course, were also proven out, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't all fit together. Quantum physics doesn't marry well with the theory of relativity. It just doesn't
at all.
At all. And now, if you look at it from that point of view, maybe it is that simple thing. Maybe it is, but maybe the people that are operating it still can't repair it, and that's why I think there are a lot more crashes of these UFOs than we ever had before. And maybe I don't know, and maybe it's the generation of immortals that is operating them, because they've become a lot more sloppy in their operation than they were before. I don't know what it is. I really don't know. And maybe it's just people that don't know how to fully operate them either, right? I mean, it's the room for speculation here is open to an amazing extent. We just don't know. We don't know there. But one thing I do know, we are now living in a world that is on the brink. It's on the brink of discovery. It's on the brink of amazing leaps forward, and it's on the brink of a terrifying destruction as well.
It sure is.
Right, that's where we are.
Yeah, look, we're 100 seconds to midnight.
Yeah,
that's where we're placed for a global war. The escalations we're seeing now, Palestine, which is not a new war. We're seeing Palestine versus Israel.
Isn't that horrible?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But like I said, it's an old conflict which has just been sparked up again. From what I understand, that the troops on the Gaza Strip border, and we don't know when the button's going to get pushed for that, the play button, right? So at the moment, their rocket attack and Iron Dome, and I saw reports this morning that the Iron Dome device has been destroyed, but I don't know. It's not confirmed. We're seeing, I think global tensions rise. We're seeing groupings of countries to fight the bully, and that's in their words, not mine. That it's causing alliances. I think if someone's actions are so bad, say it's a schoolyard, if one person's being awful to everybody, but everyone thinks it's only them, and then suddenly they discover it's all of us. But all of us against them. Surely that's better. We have some, a bargaining chips now, right? But we're seeing that also from within the Indo-Pacific region. And the fishing vessel issues, and look, there are some mighty reasons to start diplomatic talks. Let's put it that way. But then I look at the US and I said they've put a pudding head in there. Biden is losing his faculties quicker than Kamala can polish her shoes. I made that up, but just then.
I love it.
Right.
I'm sorry, I love it.
Because there's got to be a moment shortly that Kamala is then the president. It has to be announced, because is it only me? Surely there's people that realise that he can't string two words together.
I'm not sure.
There were jokes about Reagan in his last days, right? About the button, pressing the button. What button? Oh, I thought that was the nurse. That's the nurse button, right? No, that's the nuclear war button. Ron, what are you doing? Says his wife. The same thing. We're watching We're actually watching it. We're watching a deterioration, and I'm really not pleased with that guy. Is the guy to lead the country? Surely there's someone in their mid-30s who's better than that. But you know what? It's a democracy. They can just wait the term out and see what Kamala does, President Harris does when she's in place, and wait for the next time to vote or not vote and have your vote counted anyway. I don't know. Did you see the vote counts in Texas, Mackie?
No, I have not. No.
An independent company has decided to count them.
Really?
Yeah. And has found a bunch of anomalies.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the output of this, and I think it's July or something. There's so many votes to get through.
Wow.
But very few people are willing to sign up to do the counting because they've seen what happened when Trump supporters were being mistreated in a workplace and ignored legally.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, you supported Trump. I looked at your Facebook. I'm not going to employ you.
That's unconstitutional.
Well, you think so, but did anything happen? Not a skerrick. Because everyone's too afraid of the Clinton-esque hashtag bodies. No one wants to be part of that. I reckon, Mickey, this is my thoughts. I'm kind of shocked to see that the Hunter Biden laptop thing just vaporized. What happened to that?
Yeah,
what happened to that Russian collusion story? It was all entirely fake. The whole thing was fake. There wasn't any Russian collusion. There wasn't. And all they did was they put an article in the New York, the Washington Post or the New York Post, whichever it was. Washington Post, I think, which was their favoured DNC paper. And then the FBI took that to run with an investigation. But they didn't find any evidence anywhere of it. But they were able to use it in the media then, because there was now an investigation into Russian collusion. Remember the wording? So there was none. So now we've got the Ukraine issue with serious dollars being paid and outcomes based on dollars and a phone call. Whereas we got rid of the guy. Go ahead with your bid. Yeah? Nothing. Not a peep. What happened to the Clinton Foundation? Nothing. Yeah? What happened to the email server? Well, everything. It's gone, buddy. No story. No. There should be people in jail for this. People have been in jail. People have been rotting in jail for less.
Yes.
And there's no outcry. And that means to me, Mackie, in my thoughts, in my belief, when I draw all this together, all I see is people are bought and owned. Or scared for fear, right? Maybe self-imposed fear because of what happened to others.
I think they're absolutely fearful. When you say they're bought and owned, I have to agree with you. There's an element here of this kind of ownership of people has been with us for a long time, and it will be here until the end of time, as far as I can see.
I agree.
And
hang on. If I phrased this better, if I said, I'm surprised at this day and age that this is so public and yet nothing happens. This is like the lead up to the French Revolution, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But there's actually two things, two fascinating quotes I heard recently which fit this perfectly. One, every revolution seemed impossible until it became inevitable. Okay? That's one, and I completely agree. And the other one is, and this is not a quote, it's more of an observation that you all have to watch Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Yes.
Simply because it's the most phenomenally relevant movie that was ever made. And the funny thing is, I was going to, I've got an Amazon account. I buy things online, etc.
Me too.
Books, etc. As one does.
Mm-hmm.
And and I found that Mr. Smith Goes to Washington came up in my list, but it came up in my list under
Suggested
all kinds
views?
of. No, yeah, suggested, yeah, but in the category of documentaries such as
Documentary.
Michael Moore documentary, things like 9/11, etc., etc.
Oh, that's your CIA handler, Mickey.
Clearly, Mickey, look at this.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal that it would come up that way, but it did. And if you watch Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, but by the way, did you know that James Stewart was actually a pilot during World War II?
Wow. No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not just a pilot. He was flying bombing runs, which weren't survived by many. But if you haven't, everybody out there, if you haven't looked up Jimmy Stewart, please go and look up his life story. James Stewart, the guy from A Wonderful Life. That's him. That's the guy. Oh yeah. Okay.
One of my school friends could do a brilliant Jimmy Stewart. I can't.
Nice.
I can't. But yeah, he was gold at it.
Yeah. He was phenomenal. Anyway.
So your CIA handler, another loop back. He's like, that he'll definitely mention it on the show. I promise you guys. Watch this.
See?
See, it worked.
Do I know him or do I know him?
They're all high-fiving each other. Hey, look, it's live. Yeah. Look, that's hilarious.
Priceless.
So, look, a sum up. David Mackey's Shiny Side Out is not a call to arms. We're against violence, right? Just putting it out there. When we make these comparisons to historical events, it's not asking everyone to sharpen their bayonets or fix their bayonets and go to war. What it is it's basically shaking you awake to say, look what's happening.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm flabbergasted, Mickey. I've in my whole life, I've not been able to witness this firsthand until now. I believed when I looked in the history books, surely someone would have known. Surely there would have been someone reporting on it, conversations being had, that there was going to be an uprising or a conflict or you name it, whatever there is, right? Rome is burning. Surely someone went, I've got the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. Something's going to happen, or I'm witnessing all these things around. All these things are falling into place. But why are we all just watching our Facebooks, Mickey, and not caring? And what is it about this complacency?
Well, again, this has been going on for decades now. Actually, no, that's actually incorrect. Let me just quickly paint you a picture, and then the music is going to come, I'm sure.
If the music's on, go.
For the longest time, we take it up in the second hour because it fits there, but for the longest time we were kept in ignorance, and then we had a period of enlightenment, and we slipped right back into ignorance, but of our own choosing.
Woohoo! All right, we're going to drop the stream and bring up a new one for the next hour. All right, take care.